Hey, good morning. Just kind of doing all this stuff again this morning. Um, I was kind of thinking today because I watched that new Avatar, Fire and Ash, whatever. And one of the things about the fire, when you get that burn for God or that desire, that passion, that, overflowing emotion, those things that we try to keep under control all the time, they they could eventually control us at some point in time. And what we got to remember is when we're going into the fire, shiny. Um, I wish it was a real fire. It's propane. It's artificial. Anyways, um, when we go into the fire and people are getting ready, if not already in the fire, and people are in it right now, questions, wonderings, uncertainties, spirit that we can't really identify, um, an individual that might be behind the close scenes, pulling the trigger, pushing the button, uh, whatever it is, societal wise, from a spiritual to a physical, the physical to the social. In the physical world, the work is messed up right now. What we do for work. And when that goes south, the relationships in this lifetime start to fall apart. When those relationships start to fall apart, why? Well, I think it's because of an emotional thing. Those emotions are triggers. I mean, something happens, a scenario, experience, knowledge, something, those emotions get triggered by somebody that we come into contact with. Or, yeah, by somebody that we came into contact with. Whatever that person is, whether they're going to be a truly malevolent spirit kind of a person, their God is going to be a malevolent God, or a humble God, a gentle God, a kind God, a loving God, but also a warrior God. A connection between the two. Just like the malevolent person, the person that genuinely wants to place harm on somebody, and kill and destroy and fight. I was watching the news's direction. Right now, Trump is bombing Iran. Okay. That attack is affecting people that we don't know. But that also happens to us. Oh, we don't know them. They're on the other side of the world. Who cares? You have that kind of a mentality, you'll do that to your neighbor. They're on the other side of the world. Who cares? Oh, they're just my neighbor. Who cares? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you don't love your neighbor, you don't love yourself. If you don't care about your neighbor, you don't care about yourself. Work, relationships, emotions. That's the trail for the spirit right now in society. We need to fix the work, get people back to work, find good work, not bad work, not lazy work, not filthy lucre kind of work, right? The work, putting in the work to fix it, to make it something better. And with that, the relationships will start to heal. If we're doing curmudgeon-y things behind closed doors for the work that we choose, that is going to affect our loved ones. Because just because they can't see it doesn't mean that we're not doing it. When you do that regularly, we spend 8 hours a day minimum putting in the work. People are feeling a jump right now. Why? Because the work is bad. The work is not good. The work does not. And so that is going to affect our relationships. What are the emotions? Well, when you're doing deceitful things and being slimy, you're always on edge. Your head's always on a swivel. You walk on eggshells. You blah blah blah. Whatever kind of traumatic response. We explode. We retract. We get aggressive. We get defensive. We get we get emotions. Okay, the fire and the emotions. Because right now I'm going to kind of go circle back to the fire idea. With the fire idea, it's we're feeling a change everywhere. The work is changing. People are sick of having to live on edge because of the choices that we feel forced into, but we always have a choice. Don't have to partake. If you don't partake of the people that are promising things, the system will fail. They can't force us to do anything. What are they going to kill? Murder? Everything's on cameras now. Everything is seen. Everything is recorded. Everything. So with the fires, this is what I'm going to say for the idea of having to go through the fires. I've been through fire. I was born into it. And we got to be careful of what rises from the ashes. Because even with fire, okay, fire's all consuming. Fire does, leaves nothing behind, sterilizes the grounds, does this stuff, yada, yada, yada. But that's not true. What's left behind is ash. What is inside of the ash? If you have a big burn pile going, you starve it of oxygen, it'll dissipate into ash. If water is thrown on it, what's left over is going to be bits and pieces of wood that are going to last centuries. I mean, that stuff stays around. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't decompose very easily. Charred wood is very weather resistant for some reason. It will sit there for decades. It'll get covered up by pine needles after what starts to come back, but it stays. Some of us have been planted into the earth, and some of us have been burned away. Now, I was reading in Revelations, okay, because I'm Christian. Now, the interesting part is it talks about false prophets and false Christians. With the false prophets and false Christians, they will quote the scriptures. They will speak truth. But inside they are ravenous wolves. It's kind of how this works. But in Revelations, at the end of it, chapter 23, it talks about how the book will be burned. That's interesting. So here's where it's at. Christians, fellow Christians, God-fearing people, whatever, put the Bible down and let it burn. And with all this stuff, the thing that makes different, okay, is with a false Christian and being a true Christian. Like, what's the difference between those two? Well, if we get planted, we grow into a tree. Cool. If we get thrown into the fires, cool. But the cool part about being planted, talking about the tree of life and the tree and the olive tree and the blee and the fires, some trees require fire in order for the seed pods to basically pop to release the seeds. Fire is a part of the natural scheme of things. And by putting the Bible down and letting the fire consume it, you're planting the Bible. You're planting the Word of God. You're planting that inside of our hearts. And when we plant that inside of our hearts and we put that down and we don't use it as a shield, we become true Christians. Now, that goes for Hinduism, Muslims, Buddhists, all religions. Put your books down and plant them and let the Spirit do its talking, because that's what it's for. It's a guideline. It's a roadmap. It's a, whatever you need it for. It can be used for good and for evil, and we have seen that through the histories of religion. What's the difference between politics and religion? This is one of those differences. Politics is young. It's the pushback to religious belief right now. It's the polar opposite. It's the two things that potentially could balance each other out if used properly. politics and religion. Don't stand behind the book. We're going to throw the book at you. Okay? Let's put down the book. Let's put down the Bible. Let's put down these things and potentially do something different. How do we do that? Well, we understand the differences between good and evil. We understand the kind of work that is required of humanity. We are vessels here. We are guests. Our bodies will not stay here forever. We could try to do something like Fallout and put our brains onto computers, which some people, I don't know, it's kind of fun with this AI. It's a bizarre thing. That's definitely a really new thing that everybody has access to now. But the point is, what's the difference between a false Christian and a true Christian? What's the difference between politics and religion? What's the difference? But what are also the similarities? Well, politics and religion are exactly the same. For me, that's a similarity. That's not a difference. It's just a moral compass, and right now they're clashing. Quit it. Politicians, you are not the authority on morality. You don't get to run around being the moral policeman. I don't think so there, Skippy. And I don't think so either their religion. You guys do not have the authority for morality. But both are desiring to have a moral compass. Put it down. Quit hiding behind the book. Integrate what we know. The news, I was watching that a little bit, and a gal on YouTube said something, and boy, it was kind of cool. It was news. North, east, west, and south. Right now, the news is directing. Are you going to let that direction, that moral compass, that thing, let the fire consume you? Or are you going to be a part of the seeds that require fire to blossom? Okay? And the cool part about the fire is what rises out of it is going to be a better, stronger person. Or the fire consumes. So that what comes out on the other side is a person that you can't recognize. Because it's so far away from the moral compass. Let he who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying. Because God is Spirit. Those that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. I meditate with those verses quite often. I hope you all have a good day.